Happy October and welcome to the scary, sinister, and spooky edition of Read or Reap. I've almost reached the goal of 3 TBR shelves, but this month instead of focusing on the entire TBR, we're going to focus on these 20 books that I've selected for spooky season. Some of them involve vampires, witches, ghosts, or just scary settings. So light a candle and let's get ready to read or reap.
I am looking forward to this episode because I'm hoping that this will be the episode I reach the goal of 3 shelves. Seeing as how I only had 1 book to go to clear off the 4th shelf, I think I can do it. So I will be picking from these 20 books that all have a Halloween vibe to them, and instead of maneuvering around the shelf based on the tag, I'm just going to have Alexa pick me a number 1 through 20, 19, 18, whatever, and that is the book that I will read. Let's see what book I'm going to start off this spooky edition of Read or Reap with. Alexa, can you pick me a number 1 through 20?
This might answer your question. Here's a number between 1 and 20. It's
3. That ended up being The Hedge Witch of Foxhall, which I believe is more cottagecore than Halloween vibes, but it's got a witch. And that's really all we're going with here. So I do know I can get the audio version of this, so let me start reading this and see what I think of it. I have been baking cookies and listening to The Hedge Witch of Foxhall, and I am now on chapter 10, which is page 61. And from what I gather, this is set in Wales, and it's about this hedge witch named Fionn, who lives in this very big family, but all of her family destroy nature to get their power, and she's somebody who only takes from nature what it's willing to give. So she actually lives in the Hedgewood. And we're also following the perspectives of 2 brothers, 2 royal brothers. Their father wants them to destroy this wall, I guess, to destroy all magic in the kingdom or something like that. I'm still confused on that. One of the brothers wants to do this because he wants all magic eradicated, and the other brother doesn't want anything to do with like his role as a prince or whatever. But the brother who can get this wall destroyed first will become the next king, because that makes sense. So one of the brothers, Tal, he has just set off to ask the witches of Foxhall, the ones that use the earth for their magic, to help him destroy this hedge, and that's where I've gotten. I'm gonna DNF this. Are we surprised? I mean, come on, it's the first book in an episode. Are we really surprised? I don't like the way that this is written. It's very rhymey, I guess you could say poetic. And I'm not really jiving with the characters themselves. They aren't doing anything for me. I'm listening, and I'm just bored. And I really don't care about their mission because they seem very young. I was in it with the beginning, because in the beginning, this girl, Fionn, she is like interacting with these nature dragons almost. I'm thinking, oh wow, okay, this is going to be like a really cozy dragon-esque, but the magic has disappeared, taking the dragons with them, and then we start this journey. I also believe, I get the feeling that this is going to be a love triangle where she has to pick between the 2 brothers. That's what I'm getting. And you mix that in with me just not caring and being bored with the story and hating how it's written, that I just don't want to continue. So, I'm going to read this one, which is sad because, once again, this is a book that I picked up at a book convention. I am not having luck with books that I pick up at book conventions. I'm going to have to go through the books that I've picked up at ApollyCon and IBF and see if I've read them, if I've liked them, if I've kept them. Because if I'm spending money on books at book conventions and I'm not liking them enough to keep them, why am I spending money to go to these book conventions? That's a thinker. I'm gonna have to do some digging into that because I'm seeing a pattern here and I'm not liking the pattern that I'm seeing. So, anyhoozle, there are now 19 books to choose from, so let me ask Alexa to pick me one that hopefully I can get into next. Alexa, can you pick me a number 1 through 19?
This might answer your question. Here's a number between 1 and 19.
8. Oh, Jesus, this is a chunky monkey, but I'm gonna give it a try. This is the Spellbook of Katrina von Tassel. This is a book that I picked up when I went to Sleepy Hollow last year. Do I know anything about it? Of course not. Freaking course not. I just picked it up because it said Spellbook. I am getting ready to go to a monster murder mystery event at the Novel Realm. So my sister and I bought tickets. They were like $25. It sounded fun. So we had to pick from a select group of monsters to dress up as, and then we were emailed character descriptions and things that we had to try and accomplish as our monster. So because my sister and I are not being these monsters for Halloween, she's going to be a Bumblebee for Halloween, I'm going to be a casual roomie from K-pop Demon Hunters. We wanted to pick monsters that we could easily dress up as with things that we already have. So I let my sister be the witch because being a witch in this household is not that difficult. We have everything you need to be a witch. We have the hats, we have the black dresses, we have the boots, we have the broom, we have the cat, you know, we got everything. And I am supposed to be Frankenstein's monsters. I'm using my Sally costume from The Nightmare Before Christmas because she's a Frankenstein-esque creation, right? And I already have the costume. So I figured I would just use this as that. I'm going with a dark wig though because Frankenstein's monster, I think he has black hair. So instead of putting on the red wig for Sally, I'm gonna go with the dark wig just to make it more of a Frankenstein monster look. I've had this costume for 20 years. It's probably one of the best made costumes I own because I got it from Disney. So it's, you know, it's good material. This is almost like a velvet material. And I've had this for about 20 years now, and I've gotten my money out of it. I think back when I bought it, it was like $60. And I've been Sally multiple times. Anytime I had a job where I could dress up, this is probably a costume that I wore. In fact, I think I dressed up as Sally for Halloween the first year that I moved to New Jersey. So that's fun. But yeah, this is a really well-made costume. It's one of my favorites to reuse. Now I've gotten to the point where I'm really lazy, and to dress up for Halloween, I try and utilize things that I already have instead of having to buy new stuff. Or I buy clothes that I can reuse multiple times instead of buying like a specific costume that I'm only going to wear once. So, anyhoozle, let's go have some fun at this monster murder mystery. I don't know how much I'm going to record while I'm there because there will be other people around and we will probably be busy interacting, but I'll try and film something. I'm also going to take a bunch of books to see if I can get store credit there as well. Lori, who do you think the murderer was? I think it was you. Me? I wasn't the murderer. It was you. I think it was the fairy. If it was me, I'm totally unaware of it. I am back home now. That was actually really fun. We found out the killer was the clown. But my sister won something. She won most in character for the witch because as soon as we walked in the door, she was in character. But we both had a good time doing that. Definitely willing to give that a try. Everybody did a fantastic job with it. And I took like 8 books to see if I could get stored credit, and I got $35 worth of stored credit. So I picked out A Spell to Wake the Dead. Have no idea what this is about. It could be a young adult. It could be an adult. I think some girls discover somebody dead. and some occult stuff, so sounded witchy. And then I also got another blind date with a book because it said Friends to Lovers, Slow Burn, Spooky Romance, and a 4-star read. So let's see what it is. It came with a cute little bookmark and a sticker and another bookmark. What else did it come with? Oh, it came with one that said Boo. And it's really nicely wrapped. So let's see. Hopefully this is a Friends to Lovers that I haven't read. Oh, there's another bookmark. Ah, fuck. It is one I've already read. Morbidly Yours. Really great book, 6 stars. Unfortunately, I've already read it. Damn it. Okay, book 2 is going much better. I'm almost done reading it, so let me tell you what it's about before I get done. This is very similar to the original Sleepy Hollow story, only much more romanticized. You know, you're following Katrina Von Tassel, who falls in love with Ichabod Crane, the new music teacher in town, but her father wants her to marry somebody who will be good for her, and he thinks that Brahm is good for her because he comes from a wealthier family and he's been in her life longer. But, you know, she's more attracted to Ichabod and she doesn't like Brahm. I have found that with a lot of Sleepy Hollow stories that I've read, including the first one, Katrina is such a brat. She's such a brat. This one, she is kind of bratty as well, although in this one, I think she's much more grounded and she's much nicer to people, and she seems like a more relatable person in this one than a lot of other Sleepy Hollow reimaginings that I've read. The twist with this one is that she has a friend, Charlotte, who wasn't mentioned in the original Sleepy Hollow story, and Charlotte has been accused of witchcraft because she is, her mother's a midwife, so they work with medicinal herbs and things like that, and she can read tarot cards and she has visions. And so she is playing a prominent role in Katrina's story because she's able to foretell Katrina of, you know, be careful, watch out for certain things, although her visions aren't super clear. She's never able to tell Katrina exactly what's going to happen. She just has a feeling that something bad is going to happen. This has some spice in it. Not like super detailed spice, but you know, they've gotten it on a couple times. And right now she is just warring with the possibility that her father is going to accept Brahm's proposal to marry her, even though that's not what she wants. She wants to marry Ichabod. But Ichabod, being a poor school teacher who really doesn't have a stable place to live, they don't think that he's going to get her father's approval. And so they're sneaking around, they're having sex, and they're avoiding Ichabod going to her father and proclaiming, hey, I want to court your daughter, I want to marry your daughter, all that jazz. And that's where I'm at right now. I think I have about 2 hours left of this audiobook that I found on Everand, so yay. And so far, I'm liking this story. I think this is probably one of the better Sleepy Hollow stories that I've read, just because it has that more fleshed out relationship dynamic in it between the characters. And I like seeing that in a lot of reimaginings. Granted, I've only read like 4 Sleepy Hollow reimaginings plus the original. This is one of the reimaginings that I read, Hollowed by Jessica S. Taylor. This is a more like upper young adult reimagining, I would say, but this has been the best one that I've read so far. I actually did a whole vlog. Well, it wasn't really a vlog. It was more like me going to Sleepy Hollow and then telling you the books that I read, because I read all the books before I went. But I will link this video down below if you want to go hear my thoughts on other Sleepy Hollow reimaginings that I tried, plus the original that I read for the first time, if you want to hear my thoughts on that. But this one so far is coming in second place compared to this one. I'm liking this one for the romance element of it. And I'm not sure where it's going to go. I For some reason, I had it in the back of my head that Ichabod was going to die. And she was going to use some spell or something to bring him back or something. So far, the Headless Horseman hasn't even shown up in the story, much like the original book. Like, I'm going to need these Sleepy Hollow reimaginings to have the Headless Horseman be a more prominent figure. In this one, he was. He was there throughout most of the story. So, I'm enjoying this one. I'm liking it. I'll let you know my final thoughts once I'm done. But right now, I am trying to turn my bookmark collection that I haven't already into magnets. I bought these little sticky magnet sheets, and I'm just putting the bookmarks on them best I can to turn them into magnets. So that's my big thing of the day right there. Let me tell you, it's super exciting. I finished reading the spellbook of Katrina von Tassel, and I'm going to give this 4 stars. I actually really enjoyed this for the most part. Like I said, I liked that it was a more romanticized version of Sleepy Hollow than what I've been told. You get to see Ichabod and Katrina's relationship pretty heavily for, I want to say, the first third of the book. I liked her relationships with Charlotte and her maid Nancy. They felt much more like a mother-daughter relationship than her and her own mother were. Although her parents, they weren't like bad parents to her by any means. I just felt like she had a stronger connection with Nancy. I do think this title implies that this is going to be much more witchy than it actually is. The spellbook of Katrina von Tassel, it's not really a spellbook so much. Ichabod tells her that she's really good at telling stories, and so she should put that to paper. So she starts writing stories in this journal, and she starts recounting like how she's figuring out what happened to him. And she does have visions of stuff, so there is a little bit of a witchy aspect to this, but there's really no spellbook per se in this story. So I feel like this title is a bit misleading. I also did have a conundrum about this. So she wants to marry Ichabod, and he asks her dad for her hand in marriage, and her dad denies him because he's very poor. He doesn't have a lot to offer her, right? Not even a place to stay. But yet when she marries Bronn, spoiler, she marries Bronn, her dad, almost as part of her dowry, gifts Bronn a house for them to live in. So why he couldn't gift Ichabod a house for them to live in makes no fucking sense to me personally. But I liked the ending of this and how it went. I just wish I could have had more of the Headless Horseman in the story. But other than that, this has to be probably my second favorite Sleepy Hollow reimagining that I've read. So I definitely recommend it if you were interested in reading Sleepy Hollow reimaginings or retellings. I will say it's very historical romance, historical fiction. So if you're not into that, this probably wouldn't be for you, but it is that. But I enjoyed this, and I think I will keep it. I have an exciting package. I think I got a new witch hat. I ordered this off Etsy, so let me open it and show you what I got. Oh my gosh, I like it. It's a sunflower witch hat. Is that not so freaking cute? It's quilted. Oh, that's adorable. Ah! Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it. It's got this little ribbon detail there. There are now 18 books. So let me get Alexa to pick me a number between 1 and 18. Let me get you closer to her because the windows are open and I don't think she can hear me. Alexa, can you pick me a number between 1 and 18?
This might answer your question. Here's a number between 1 and 18. It's 15.
15, okay. That one ended up being The Day Death Stopped. Do I know anything about this is? Absolutely not, but it has the word death in it. So that's why it's on the shelf. It says, desperation is the most dangerous type of magic. Okay. Yeah, so literally I don't know what this is about. I think there might be some time travel involved with it or reincarnation or something like that. I picked it up at Friends to Lovers when I went to DC, when I went to Alexandria. So let me get into this and see if I like it. I want to say halfway through The Day Death Stopped. I actually found the audiobook on Everand again. I haven't used Everand this much in months, let me tell you, but it's coming in clutch for me here recently. So this isn't even what I thought it was. This is more of a paranormal, just a paranormal story. There's really no romance in this story so far, 50%. But we're following this woman named Claire, who is a witch. This has witches in it. I did not know that. But she is a witch, and she was prophesied to be like this really powerful witch from birth. And what ended up happening is this other boy named Osric, he is also a witch who sort of shares powers with her. So they're both destined to be this almost supreme witch, but she does not want this. She does not want the responsibility of it because she has been used for her power by her abusive father since she was a child or whatnot. But they shared this bond together. They became friends. They were once in a romance together at one point, but something caused them to split up. But they're still very much friends. And what we know at the beginning of this book is he has cast a spell that has stopped death all across the world. The day death stopped, okay? And he's done this to protect her. He does not want her to die because she is prophesied to be this very powerful witch who is destined to do great things. So in order to stop her from dying, a death that he has foreseen, he casts a spell to stop death all over the world. So the very beginning of this book, we see the events that have taken place. People are dying left and right. They're getting hit by trains. They're being taken off life support. They're being shot. They're just dying in typical ways people die, but their souls aren't leaving their bodies. So their souls are very much still attached to these corpses almost. And throughout the story, we are being sent back in time to see what led up to him making this decision. So it'll be like 50 years before the day death stopped, 12 days before death stopped, 18 months before death stopped. And we're just seeing the relationship between Claire and Osric and the dynamics of their families that have led up to the day death stopped, pretty much. Y'all, you know what's coming, don't you? There's no real reason as to why I want to DNF this. It's a fine enough story. It's a nice concept. It's just, in 50% of this book, nothing fucking's happening. What happened has already happened. And so we're just watching the days and the months leading up to this that, by the way, annoys the fuck out of me that they're not in chronological order. We go from like 50 years before death stopped to 2 weeks, back to 4 years, back to 18 days. Why the fuck can't this book be in chronological order? It annoys me. And you would think that there would be something exciting happening that would lead up to this. I mean, the most exciting thing really is seeing her childhood and how her father used her for her witchy abilities and the relationships she had with her half-brother. That was the most dynamic thing, but that made up such a little portion of the first half of this book that I've just been listening to it, and I'm not zoning out or anything, but it's just words to me. There's no connection here. I don't care. I'm pretty much like, okay, so we're gonna get up, like, are you gonna stop him from stopping death? I'm assuming that's the goal we're aiming for here, but why is it taking so damn long? Honestly. I'm not invested in this story, and at this point, I'm just like, okay, let me turn on the audiobook and listen to a couple more chapters while I take a shower, just so I can make it through more of this story that really isn't gripping me. I don't feel like by the end of this, if I finished reading it, I'd be like, oh my god, I'm so glad I read that. So, fuck it. I'm not gonna finish this. So let me go to the shelf and see what we're gonna pick next. There are now 16 books to choose from here. I did take one off to read outside of this vlog, so let me ask Alexa to pick me a number and see what I'm gonna try to read next. Alexa, can you pick me a number 1 through 16?
This might answer your question. Here's a number between 1 and 16. It's 15.
Almost all the way to the end. Okay, this one seems like it would be cute. So hopefully it's cute and I like it. It's An Ancient Witch's Guide to Modern Dating. So I have heard one other person talk about this. I can't remember who it was though. But they said they really enjoyed it. And it was cute. Oh my gosh, there's a little cat on the bottom. I just realized that. Anyway, let me get into this. Hopefully it's cute and I like it. You're balanced very precariously on the dashboard. But we went out for breakfast, my sister and I, with some friends, and they had like a free farmer's market right across the street from where we had breakfast. So check out this grocery haul. We got some cinnamon raisin homemade bread, 2 boxes of pasta, a big thing of peanut butter, some lettuce, 4 apples, and 2 acorn squash. All for free. I am about 50% into An Ancient Witch's Guide to Modern Dating. So this is a really sweet, so far cozy, contemporary paranormal. It does have some time travel in it as well, which I really like. We are following this 39-year-old woman named Thorne who lives in the 1600s, and she's desperate to find a husband because she's approaching 40, and if she can't find a husband by 40, she's just destined to be alone forever. So she seeks out the help of this matchmaker in the village to match her up with somebody who matches her with this, what is he? Carpenter? I think he's a carpenter. But she has to do this spell that will make her look younger. And she just has to get this man to say, I love you, and they'll be happily ever after. However, her aging spell starts to wear off, and he sees her for this 39-year-old woman, and he's like, you're old. So she goes back to her cottage, this cute little cottage in the woods, and she's trying to revamp this spell, and something goes awry with a frog and her cat. And next thing you know, she wakes up in her cottage surrounded by these weird people who are talking weird, dressing weird. Things in her house have been moved around. And they think that she is an actor in this historical cottage that is her home in the 21st century. So she's trying to figure out how she can make a time travel spell to send her back. But in the meantime, she might as well give this whole modern dating, online dating thing a try, right? She's just going on these dates, trying to find a love match in this modern age. But she doesn't see that the veterinarian is right there in front of her. And I'm assuming in the latter half of this book, it's going to be a romance between them and them getting, to know that they're attracted to one another. So far, this is super, super cute. I'm loving this. I love seeing this ancient witch who has just plopped into the 21st century try to cope and understand with technology. Her cat familiar, he can talk to her, and it's so funny because he thinks he's her overlord. But it's also really heart-tugging because she keeps trying to change herself to attract what she thinks men are interested in. When the veterinarian, Wallace, I think his name is, he thinks she's cute and funny the way she is, and it's just so sweet. One thing I did hate about this though was she gets to the 21st century and she's like, oh my god, I'm 39, and if I don't find somebody by the time I'm 40, I'm destined to be alone forever. And I was like, damn. As a chronically single woman who's in her 40th year of life, I don't need to hear that. I'm sure by the time I finish reading this, I will probably give it a good review. I just came in from working outside, but I thought I would give you my final thoughts on An Ancient Witch's Guide to Modern Dating. I always get this title confused. So, I ended up giving this 4.5 stars. I had a good time with this. I liked the characters. I liked their personalities. I really liked the familiars in here and the interesting ending that it had that I didn't see coming. I sort of knew, based on her personality, the road or the avenue she would take in the end. But the reason as to how it all began was a surprise to me. The reason this got 4.5 stars was I felt like I could have used more romance in this book. I wanted more time of Thorne and Wallace spending more time together, those slight touches that show the building attraction and things like that. I liked them together, but I wanted more romance from it, quite honestly, which is why it didn't get 5 stars. But I would definitely recommend this. This is absolutely no spice to it at all. They barely kiss. So if you're looking for a cute little witchy story with no spice, I definitely recommend you check this out. There are now 15 books on this shelf to pick from, so let me go ask Alexa to pick me a number. I have the windows open, so I'm going to have to get real close to her. Alexa, can you pick me a number between 1 and 15?
This might answer your question. Here's a number between 1 and 15. It's 6.
6, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is The Hollow and the Haunted. Got it mainly because of this cover, because it had a coffin with some flowers in it, and that's just a vibe for me. So let me get reading this and see how it goes. I'm on chapter 11, page 131 of The Hollow and the Haunted. So this is a YA paranormal about a boy. I cannot remember his name. He lives in this family that are psychic, clairvoyant, talk to the dead. I don't know. They do something with the dead. And he one day gets this vision of this other young man who is in this dark room. He's on the verge of death and he's saying, please find me. So one day they go to a neighborhood party and there he sees the boy that he had the vision of, because he thought he was already dead, but he's like, oh, there he is. And this boy ends up being the son of his family's enemy, per se. Think a la Romeo and Juliet. These two families don't like each other, and so therefore these boys do not like each other. And he ends up telling this boy, hey, just be careful. You know, keep an eye out for yourself. And this boy knows that his family can see people's deaths before they happen. So he's like, whoa. You tell me to be careful? No. You're gonna help me figure out what the hell is going on. Why did you have this vision of me? Let's try and figure out how to stop this from happening. And so that's what they're doing throughout the story, is they reluctantly agree to work together to try and figure out why he would end up in the situation that this boy had a vision of. And in doing so, I'm sure they're going to fall for each other. That's right, I'm going to DNF this book. Listen, there's nothing particularly wrong with this book, okay? The writing is fine, the story is fine. It's just, I did not know that this was a YA contemporary before I bought it. All I bought it based on was this cover, okay? I don't even remember what section I picked it up at. And that's pretty much all I went on. I need to stop doing that because it's a very rare occasion for me to enjoy a YA contemporary. I also don't really like the Romeo and Juliet trope of two families who don't like each other, but their kids don't even know each other, but therefore they have to hate each other. But it's just too fucking angsty for me, and it makes no damn sense, quite honestly. So that compiled with this, I wasn't into it. I was listening to the audiobook and I could tell that I wasn't into it because I upped the speed on the audiobook to 2.5 times speed just to try and get through it. After I read about 5 chapters, I'm like, okay, let's speed this up a little bit, shall we? And that's when I knew I wasn't into it. I've been reading this book, or trying to read this book, for about 5 days now. Yeah. And that's as far as I made it right there. And so while I thought whether or not I should DNF that book, I just randomly picked out a book from the 20 books that I have to pick from. I was like, you know what? Let me try Circus of Illusions. And yesterday I put myself on a self-imposed phone ban. I put my phone in a different room, high up on a shelf where I hardly ever go. And I left it there. And I didn't touch my phone for an entire 24 hours, believe it or not. Much to my sister's dismay, because she was trying to get a hold of me and I wasn't picking up my phone. And she had to have proof of life at the end of the day. But I finished this book in that time period. And this is 437 pages, I believe. So for me to finish this book in a day, whereas this book I've been reading for 4 days and have only made it that far, and this is a shorter book, I could tell that that meant that I wasn't into that book. So what is Circus of Illusions, you might ask? This is about a woman who gets fired from her job. Her boyfriend breaks up with her, and so she takes all the money she has and she moves from Brooklyn to New Orleans. And she doesn't really have a plan. So when she gets to New Orleans, she's trying to find a place to stay. Like, girl, you can't just up and move to a whole new place when you don't have any fucking money, okay? Because she doesn't have enough money to even rent a hotel. So when this mysterious stranger approaches her and he's like, hey, let me buy you coffee. She's kind of iffy about this, but the girl, you know, she doesn't have a lot of money. So she's like, fine, he seems fine. It's the middle of the day, nothing could go wrong. And he tells her, hey, I know a place you can get a job. Come to the circus at night and ask for Samuel and he'll give you a job and it comes with a place to stay. And she's like, yeah, okay, sure. So at night, this boardwalk opens up that leads into the swampy bayou of New Orleans and it leads to the circus. Naturally, when she gets there, she can't afford to get in the door to the circus. But he says, hey, if you go through this hallway of mirrors over here, you can get in for free. All it'll cost you is a memory or a secret. She's like, sure, why not? Whatever. And when I read that, I thought, have I read this book before? Because that sounded so eerily familiar of a book that I had read earlier this year. It was the same exact premise of this book. Same exact setup, right? So I continue reading and finally it gets to a place where it turns into something different. I'm like, oh, okay. But that was really, I'm like, I don't know if these authors plagiarized each other because it wasn't word for word. It was just the same exact concept. And that's weird. She gives up a piece of like a lost memory or something like that. And when she tries to leave the circus, she can't. She goes through the turnstiles and she just ends up right back inside the circus. And so the performers tell her, hey, stay here. You can stay in my trailer and we'll figure it out. And it ends up that she is linked somehow to Samuel, who is the ringleader and one of the 4 brothers who runs this weird circus that only appears at night. And each week, a different brother has a different type of circus. So Samuel has the Circus of Illusion, where everything is illusion. There's more of a carnival circus than a circus, where there's like midways and games and rides. And then there's a freak show circus one of the brothers puts on. And the other one is like a Circus of the Dread or something like that. And it turns out that she and Samuel have a bit of a connection, and that's why she can't leave, and they end up falling in love. So I liked this. I'm gonna give it a 4 stars. I thought it was a solid 4-star. The writing was pretty decent. I only noticed maybe a couple grammatical errors in this book, but I liked the intrigue of the story. I liked the setting of this, of it being in this very eerie bayou. The characters were all very interesting. They all had backstories and things about them that made them have depth to them. I liked the side character relationships in here and how that played out. And I thought that Samuel was a really morally gray character. He truly was a morally gray character for me because he is a very dangerous guy. He is a shadow wielder, but his shadow, he doesn't so much wield like misty shadows. His shadow is an entity all of its own. It has a face, it has teeth, so he can tell his shadow to go do things or to spy on people. And his shadow literally, they call him the Shadow Man. And it reminded me of that soundbite on Instagram of, "You fell in love with the shadow man." That's what this reminded me. But he and his brothers are voodoo priests, and so it added that New Orleans flair to it, and it added that voodoo element to it that I haven't read a lot of in books, and I really found intriguing. It's on the pretty light end of the dark romance spectrum. There's nothing too wacky about it, but it does have that darker undertone to it. And he is truly a guy that he doesn't want her, but he wants her because she can affect him in a way that she isn't supposed to, and he hates that, but he's also intrigued by it. But he's also like, if you touch my girl, I'm going to kill you. And he does. He does. He does kill people who touch his woman. As far as smut, I will say this doesn't go as smutty as I would have liked. This author could have done more. I mean, the dude has a shadow that's literally a sentient shadow. Okay? I had thoughts in ways that could have played out, but it didn't. So if you're somebody who likes circus books with a darker, sinister tone to it, but you don't want something that's super, super smutty, this is definitely a good one. I do think that I will put the rest of the books on my list to keep an eye on, because I got this book when it was $3. This paperback was $3 off Amazon. So I thought, yeah, fuck it, I might as well pick it up because it was on my list of books to check out. So I think I'm going to do that for the rest of them, but it's not like a series that I'm going to be chomping at the bit to continue on. And because I got 2 books knocked off, there are now 13 books here to pick from. So let me ask Alexa to pick me a number 1 through 13. Alexa, pick me a number 1 through 13.
This might answer your question. Here's a number between 1 and 13. It's 5.
5. Okay, that one ended up being Retribution Rails by Aaron Bowman. This is a book that involves zombies, or the first one did anyway. It's set in West Texas, I believe. And it's historical, but with zombies. And I really liked the first book. And I thought it was fine as a standalone. I didn't feel like it needed to progress, but I liked the story and I liked the characters enough to be interested to know what's going to happen in this book. So hopefully I can find the audiobook of this because I need to get some work done today. So let me get to reading the zombie book and see how I like this one. I finished reading Retribution Rails, and when I said that the first book in this series involved zombies, no it didn't. I was thinking of the wrong series. This has absolutely no zombies in it at all, neither did the first book. So this did not fit in with the theme of this spooky, scary Halloween vlog at all. This was just a historical fiction story about a girl named Charlotte who dreams of becoming a journalist. And when she is taking the train to get home, there is a gang of outlaws who takes over the train, and one of them tries to kill her, but she makes it out alive. And because she's a journalist and she has a really good sense of memory, she is able to tell authorities what these men look like, and they turn out to be this really well-known gang of robbers. And one of the men, or one of the boys, I should say, because he's only like 19, he is this outlaw known as the Rose Kid, who has this notorious reputation for having killed an entire family. It's not true, though. He did not kill an entire family. He was just taken in by this gang, and he was forced to do some really shitty things against his will, and he's pretty much being forced to remain a part of this gang and carry out stuff. So when they meet up, something happens, and it provides him with a chance to get away from this gang, but he wants to find the man who really killed this family to sort of clear his name. She is actually taking one of the coaches that he steals to use, and he doesn't know that she's in there, and they end up reluctantly having to work together to clear his name and also kill off the remaining members of this gang who are plaguing the Old West. So this takes place in the Old West time, which I really like. So I'm going to give this 4 stars. I liked it. I think I actually liked this one a little bit more than the first book. That once I realized I don't think this is the series I thought had zombies in it, I went back and I looked at the synopsis of the first book and I'm like, right, that was that book. I connected more with Charlotte and Reese, who is the bandit. I thought their story was more compelling than the first book, which I only gave 3.5 stars. Which is weird because I don't typically keep books that I rate 3.5 stars. Very, very rare occasion, but I really did like it for some reason. Don't ask me why I only gave it 3.5 stars. But anyway, I liked this one a lot more. I am a sucker for an Old West setting. Love that time period. This one had a lot of history to do with the building of the railroad, especially across Arizona, and how that impacted people's lives. And I really appreciated the author's note in this and how she talked about what inspired her to write this book and how the events of the building of the railroad affected people in good and bad ways. And I really liked seeing the inclusion of the characters from the first book, Vengeance Road, in this story as well. And I think I liked them better in this story just because they were more mature characters in this story. So I definitely think I will be keeping this. And, you know, oh, look, it's got deckled edges. I know people hate deckled edges. I love deckled edges. So despite the fact that this had absolutely nothing Halloween themed in it, I enjoyed my time with it. So now there are 12 books to choose from. So let me ask Alexa to pick me a number 1 through 12. Alexa, pick me a number 1 through 12.
This might answer your question. Here's a number between 1 and 12. It's 4.
4. That one ended up being The Woodsmoke Women's Book of Spells by Rachel Greenlaw. I think this takes place in Appalachia. I think. That's literally all I know. I know it involves witches of some kind or women who were accused of witches. It says every curse has a beginning. It's not too terribly long, so let me get into reading this, and hopefully I like this one. This one, I'm for sure it has witches in it. I thought I should give you a mid-book update. Well, not really mid-book. Not quite midway. Because I haven't done the greatest at giving updates in this vlog. So, The Woodsmoke Women's Book of Spells. This is a family drama story. It's set in the Appalachian region, and we're following this family where this book of spells, or this compendium as they call it, is passed down every other generation. And when they get this book, they're almost under a curse. Every first frost, a man will show up and they will fall in love with the women in the family will fall in love with this man, and then he will leave, and that will cause her to leave this region. It's literally, the town is called Woodsmoke. She will leave this region, and thus the history and the book of spells is dwindling, I guess, in their family history because no one's around to pass it on. And we're following this woman, Carrie, who left the region for some reason, and now she has come back. And she's noticing that somebody is leaving flowers at this cottage that once was her grandma's. And she does meet a man on the first frost. Well, she doesn't meet him, she just sees him or whatnot. Meanwhile, in the town of Woodsmoke, she's wondering if the townspeople have gotten over the history of her family. I guess the people in this town have always treated her family badly, and so she's wondering if they still have. There's also a dynamic between a man in town that she sees and who I'm assuming is her best friend. I get the feeling, I haven't gotten to it yet, but I get the feeling that there's a past there where she might have left or something, or her best friend ended up marrying the man that she was in love with, because we get her best friend's point of view as well, and she is just overly concerned with, oh, she's back in town, and I don't know if my husband is going to fall back in love with her, or he will leave the house and won't be back for certain times. And so she's always like, oh, is he spending time with her or whatnot? So I get the dynamic that's there. And I have made it to chapter 15 right now, so I'm only right there. Y'all. I'm going to DNF this book. Once again, the theme of this vlog seems to be there's nothing really wrong with this book. It's fine. The story's fine. The writing's fine. As with the other books that I freaking DNF'd in this vlog. There's nothing truly wrong about this. I just don't care. I don't care. I'm not one for witchy family sagas, which I didn't really know what this was. I bought it based off the title because, you know, it seemed witchy. I didn't read it. I didn't even read the synopsis. Again, Becky, stop making these choices. So, I don't really love the whole family sagas of the family that's cursed type thing. I know Practical Magic had that, and I read Practical Magic. I didn't like Practical Magic. And it's just a theme within so many witchy books is that a generation of women is cursed, and specifically they're cursed when it comes to love for some fucking reason. It's like, can we not figure out a way for women witches to be cursed in any other way other than love, you know? It's an old cliche trope that I don't like reading about. And I don't care for the angstiness of her best friend and best friend's husband and how I just don't care. That's the point I'm making, is I just don't fucking care. I need to start making better choices when it comes to buying books, and I need to stop buying them just because, you know, they seem witchy, and I like witchy books. No, girl, there are certain witchy books that you don't like. Okay, Becky? You don't like these type of books, so why the fuck do you keep buying them? I just need to mentally chastise myself and remind myself of this when I'm in a bookstore. Just because it looks witchy does not mean you need to buy it before reading what the fucking synopsis is. I don't think I'm going to have Alexa pick me a random number because there is one book in particular that I've had my eye on reading. So I thought, you know what, I might as well just give it a go, and that is The Last Raven. I believe this is about vampires. And seeing as how I've read a lot of witchy books in this episode, I think I want to try something a little different. This is one that I picked up at Old Town Books in Alexandria. So I think I'm going to give this a go. And I think I might reach out to my friend Suleika and see if she wants to buddy read this, because I think she owns this book too. So I'm hoping that this will be another win. The pattern in this video seems to be DNF, finish a book, DNF, finish a book, DNF, finish a book. So let's hope I finish it. You guys. I can't even. I'm not even gonna give you a synopsis for this. Let's just say I made it 5.5 chapters, okay? And this is so stupid. First of all, I'm not gonna tell you what this book is about other than vampires. And the male main character's name is Kyle. What the fuck kind of book name is Kyle? I'm sorry, to anybody out there with the name Kyle, I'm sure it's a fine name. It's just not a book name, especially a paranormal romance name, Kyle. Anyhoozle, I thought this was an adult romance. I mean, doesn't this give adult? She's 17 and he's 18. And she's such a whiny fucking character. She's one of those very immature characters who has to be antagonistic toward him. He's just bland as shit, Kyle. But he doesn't really do much or say much to her. But yet she's always like, ah, he smirked. I want to slap it right off his face. And fuck it, Kyle. And she's always calling him an asshole, and he's such a prick. And I'm just like, for what? For smirking at you? I can't, y'all. I can't. Oh, and then, you know, when I feel this way about a book, I always like to look at what the average rating of a book is to see if the general public liked it. This has got to be one of the lowest rated books I have ever seen an average rating for. It has 2.83 on Storygraph. I've never seen a book under 3 stars. And that's how I know that this is not good. So, Jesus, Pete, man. I can't with this episode. Why? I really don't have it in me to pick out another book. But, you know, it's 8 o'clock. And I'm about to have me a little snacky snack before I get ready for bed. And I'm going to look at my shelf and just see if there's anything on there that I could potentially want to read, because I'm worn out. So we'll see what happens in the next clip. Maybe tomorrow, because I still have a good week left in this month. We'll see how I'm feeling tomorrow, if I pick another book to read or if I just call it quits. I would really like to end this episode on a good note, though. We'll see. Okay, it's a couple days later, and I did, in fact, pick out another book to read. So I picked out Here Lies a Vengeful Bitch, and I'm 75% into this, so I'm going to finish it really, really soon. So let me tell you what it's about. This is an upper YA murder mystery about a girl who wakes up and she's clawing out of this river, and she stumbles upon this ghost town, literally, of other spirits who have died. And she's trying to figure out what happened to her because she doesn't know she's dead at this point. So she ends up going back to the town where she lives, and people are shocked to see her. They're like, oh my God, what happened? Where were you? And she gets in trouble because everybody thought she had run away or disappeared. And she's like, I can't remember what happened to me. So she eventually discovers that she's dead. And she's on a mission to get her vengeance and figure out who killed her. Meanwhile, I'm not sure if it's her half-sister, her stepsister, her friend. I think at one point, maybe they were step-siblings. And then maybe the dad divorced the mom and now they're just close friends. But her friend is missing as well. And so she's trying to figure out where she is because nobody's been able to find her. But I find it interesting that this isn't so much a ghost story as it is a poltergeist story, because people can see her. She can talk to people, she can touch people, but on the other hand, some people can't see her. Some people don't notice she's there. And she's able to kind of dissipate a little bit. If she gets a little too wound up, she will almost melt like water because that is how she died. And yeah, she's just trying to figure out what's going on. And I feel like right now at 75%, she's on to a lead as to what could be happening to her. But I'm enjoying this. I think the characters are a little immature for my liking. I mean, they're in high school, pretty much. So, but our female main character, she's not that annoying. I feel like she's your typical teen, but she's not like super whiny or anything like that. So I am trucking along in this. I like that this takes place in New Jersey too. And I will give you my final thoughts once I finish. I finished it, and you know what? I think I'm gonna give this 5 stars. I really enjoyed this. I liked the murder mystery of it. I really liked the idea that this author came up with as far as like poltergeists and how they function and how their death sort of equates to the abilities that they have. Some poltergeists died by fire, so when they get really ramped up, their
bodies almost go up in a puff of smoke and they dissipate. Our main character, Annie, she died by drowning, so when she gets really amped up, she pretty much dissolves into water. And I thought that idea was really, really cool. I liked the found family of ghosts in here and how this community of ghosts banded together to help her try and solve the murder. As far as who the murderer ended up being, I didn't quite guess it. I thought it could have been a possibility, but I sort of swept it away. And so when it came back around, I wasn't totally shocked by it, but I wasn't 100% certain that that's who it was by the time that it happened. My one complaint about this book that I have is that I thought this was an adult story, and it is not. It is following older teenagers. Now, there is a lot of swearing in this. There is some mention of drug use and especially like date rape drugs and things like that. There's a lot of mention of more mature young adult themes in this. I think I will keep it, and when I was looking through it, I found a bookmark from Nocturne. That's where I got it in Salem. And it also had a postcard. It says, "Some girls never rest in peace." And I also realized that it was signed by the author. So that was fascinating. Didn't know all that was in there. Really enjoyed it. It was a solid murder mystery. It takes place around Halloween too, so it was a great book for this themed episode. Now there's only 9 books left up here, and I think I'm just going to pick another book that I actually want to read, because why not? And that is going to be Spells and Slip-Ups by Annie Anderson. This is a book that I got for free in my swag bag for the Imaginary Book Fest. And I think I might see if Suleika wants to give this one a try as far as buddy reading, since I DNF'd the last one. And I recently also read another Annie Anderson book this month outside this vlog and really enjoyed it. So hopefully this is good as well. My sister and I are in Ocean City, Maryland for the weekend. My brother and my sister-in-law are in the area, so we thought we would jot down here and see them for a day. I think there is a festival or a farmer's market happening on the boardwalk today, so we're gonna go check that out. And then I think we're gonna go up to Assateague and see if we can spot any of the wild horses. My sister's always wanted to do that, and I love horses, so we're gonna check that out. There is a bookstore in the area we're also going to check out. I'm gonna try and start listening to Spells and Slip-Ups, but there's no guarantee that I'm actually going to start it during this portion of this vlog. It may have to wait till I get home, because sometimes my brain just can't concentrate on books, especially audiobooks, when I am on vacation, because I'd rather be doing anything else. But that's the plan. We spotted an Assateague horse. Hi, horsies. It's like I've never seen a fucking horse before.
I know, but like they're just wild on the island.
I'm sitting here waiting for Lori to cross back over the bridge. Such a pretty background. Okay, so I'm back home, and I am now about 50% into Spells and Slip-Ups, and this is about a woman. I have no idea how old she is. Her name is Wren, and she is a witch, but she comes from this very powerful family. But she doesn't have any powers herself, except for the fact that when other witches cast spells around her, somehow she interferes and she fucks that spell up and she causes chaos. Hence the slip-ups. So she's offered, she's enlisted, I'm really not sure either, to join this almost police task force for supernatural creatures. So she has to go to this almost camp to, you know, train and do all that stuff as though she was in the military or something like that. And she ends up catching the eye of this alpha wolf whose name I can't remember. And because he's an alpha wolf, he's attracted to her, but he doesn't understand why, because wolves they don't find their soulmates in witches, so he doesn't get why he's so attracted to her, but he is. And he discovers the secret of her not having powers but causing chaos when other witches do spells or whatnot. So he's trying to cover for her and saves her anytime something goes wrong while they're both at this training academy. And that's where I'm at. I will say I really do like Annie Anderson's writing. It's very easy to digest, but it's not boring in any way. It's not annoying in any way. So I like her writing. I like the humor she infuses with her characters. Like this girl, even though I don't know how old she is, and she seems like she's about 20, she's likable. You know, she's got a good sense of humor. She's quirky in all the right ways that aren't annoying. However, I wish I knew how old she was, because if she's older, the alpha werewolf, I believe it said in here he was 30, or he was approaching 30. He seems very young for his age too. This feels more like a new adult book than an adult book. So if the characters are adult and they feel like younger, that annoys me. And I wish I knew for certain like how old these characters are. She's gotta be 20. She can't be older than that, because if she is, girl seems very immature. But I'm not hating it. I'm going along with it. But other than him protecting her when her abilities interfere with certain spells, I really don't know where this story's going. I do know it is the first book in a series, but I don't know what the plot of it is per se. But I'll let you know when I finish it. Hopefully I'll finish it tonight so I can end out this episode. I was gonna film this tomorrow when I actually looked decent and, you know, wasn't fresh out of the shower, but why bother, right? Let's get this done as quickly as I can. I finished reading Spells and Slip-Ups, and I'm gonna give this 4 stars. It was a decent paranormal romance. The plot of the story did kick in, I want to say, after about 70%. It started getting to a point where I was like, okay, I see where we're going now. I really liked the alpha werewolf guy. His name is Nico, by the way. Finally remember that. He is, I want to say this is a he falls first type of story, because he knows right away that she is his fated mate. And as soon as they, you know, consummate that bond, she doesn't know it yet. He doesn't tell her, which is dumb. But as soon as that mate bond kicks in, he's my wife. That's my wife. You're not gonna treat my wife. He's very much a my wife character. And I liked how protective he was of her. I still would like to know how old this girl is, because that still bothers me. But by the end, I really didn't care. I also really liked the side characters in here. This book contains a lot of different paranormal creatures. We have a bird shifter, we have a ghoul, we have a fae, wolves, witches, things like that. And I really liked how he and his pack really embrace her, because she comes from a family where, because she is a misfit and she's a screw up, or so they think, her family treats her like shit. So his pack really embraces her despite the fact that she isn't a werewolf. So I really ended up enjoying this, and I think if I could get the other books in this series for free, maybe I would continue on. Again, it's not one that I'm going to be chomping at the bit to continue on with, but if I come across them, I think I would continue reading it. So another win for Annie Anderson. And that's going to bring a conclusion to episode 9, this spooky edition of Read or Reap. Let me go through just as a, you know, refresher of all the things I tried to read. It was a lot this month, you guys. It was a lot. Okay, so this isn't in the order. This is just in the order the stack is. So I tried to read The Hollow and the Haunted. I DNF'd this. I read Here Lies a Vengeful Bitch. I gave this 5 stars. I will be keeping this. I also read Retribution Rails. I gave this 4 stars. I will be keeping this. I DNF'd the Woodsmoke Women's Book of Spells. I will be reaping this.
I read Circus of Illusions, and I think I'm going to keep this, but I may try to upgrade this book because there is a better cover out there. I hate this cover. This cover's awful. But the book was only $3, so who could blame me? But I think I will put it on my wish list to upgrade this cover, and I will keep it for now. I also read An Ancient Witch's Guide to Modern Dating, and I gave this 4.5 stars, so I will be keeping that. I DNF'd The Last Raven, so I will be reaping that. I read The Spellbook of Katrina von Tassel. I gave this 4 stars, and I will be keeping that. I DNF'd The Hedge Witch of Fox Hall, so I will be reaping it. And I also DNF'd The Day Death Stopped, so I will be reaping that. And, of course, I finished reading Spells and Slip-Ups, gave it 4 stars, so I think I will keep it for now. It's going to be a heavy stack to lift. Oh my god. Okay, so those are all the books that I managed to get off my shelf this month. That's a lot, you guys. That's so much. But I am pretty proud of that. What does that mean, you guys? Let's see if I can move all of these books to the 3rd shelf. And let's see. I'm pretty confident that I've reached the goal. But let's get this done, shall we? Ta-da! Less than 3 shelves, you guys. 2.5 shelves. I did it. I did it. Let me count how many books are on this shelf at the moment. There's 68 books on this shelf. I'm so happy. I did it, you guys. I reached the goal of 3 shelves or less. Can that be the end of this Read or Reap challenge? Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
You should be proud of yourself, but don't you think it would be even more exciting to get to 2 shelves?
Excuse me?
I'm just saying you made it this far. You're not a quitter, are you?
You edit these videos. You've seen how much I DNF. Yes, I'm a quitter. I've got to the goal. There's no need for me to continue. Mission achieved.
I think you'll do at least 1 more episode.
No, I'm not. I'm done.
Are you, though?
I'm done.
You can't be done. I'm the one who films these videos.
You know what?